Hi everyone, it's Sarah here. Today's video is all about how to store your clothes which are out of season. So if you're watching this as this video goes live, we're kind of in between that summer to autumn stage and we're thinking about changing our clothes over and taking out those winter woolies and putting away the sundresses for the winter season. So it's quite important to know how to store your clothes properly so that they are still in good condition for next year. You don't have to go out buying new things to replace what you've already got. I also want to say a big thank you to anybody who's subscribed to the channel. The numbers have been going up, I have been noticing, so thank you very much. I'm glad that you're enjoying the videos and I hope to give you a lot more value in the videos to come too. So thanks very much for following. Let's get started. So tip number one I have for storing your clothes for the coming season is to wash every single item of clothes that you have. Even if you've worn it once and you still think it's, quite clean, it's really important that you give everything a good wash before it goes into storage. The reason for this is that if there are odors left on the clothes, maybe from you've been cooking around food, or even a little bit of body odor, or perhaps you've spilled a little bit of food which you might not see with the naked eye, but it is on the clothes, that is going to attract moths to your clothes and they are going to have a feast eating on your clothes. You're going to end up with holes in them when you go to open them in the next season. And it's not good, obviously, you don't want holes in your clothes. So it's a really good idea to get everything washed before they go into storage. Tip number two is to dry everything completely after you wash them. Nothing should be left even a little bit damp after you've washed them. Once you put them into storage containers, into bags, and if you still have that moisture in the clothes, that moisture is going to turn into mildew. And again, you're going to end with clothes that cannot be worn when you go to take them out next year. So it's really important to completely dry your clothes, get them out in the fresh air, put them in the dryer, make sure there's no moisture whatsoever left in your clothes so that you have brand spanking new clothes when you go to take them out next year. My next tip is to empty all the pockets in your jeans, in your coats, anything at all where you might have left any kind of tissues, small cloths, maybe a packet of chewing gum, something like that. Make sure you remove everything from your pockets. I mean, there's a couple of reasons for this. If it is a bulky item and it's stored there for a long time, it might end up misshaping your clothes. Also, if tissues get a little bit damp, they can go bally. I'm sure you've experienced that before when you put a tissue through the wash and it gets on everything. So you just want to make sure you take everything out of the pockets. Nothing is left in there for the few months that they're going to be stored. Take everything out, make sure everything's clean, lying flat, and you'll be good to go then for the next season. Plus, you never know, you might find a fiver in there. When you're storing your clothes, you want to avoid using plastic bags where possible. If you use plastic bags, they are not waterproof. So if there's any moisture around in the air, that's going to seep inside and get to your clothes, which again, as we said, causes mildew. Not good for your clothes. As well as that, any kind of zips that you have stored in those bags, that can break open the plastic and it's going to leave your clothes exposed to the dust, the moisture in the air. It's not ideal. Plastic bags should be avoided. And this also goes for if you put your things into dry cleaning before and they come back in those plastic covers, the garment bags. Make sure you get rid of those because again, for the same reasons, moisture gets in, they can rip easily, they're not going to protect your clothes long term. So it is best to get something like a cloth garment bag that is breathable, but do make sure that if you use cloth garment bags that they are well out of any area where they might be exposed to moisture. So make sure there's no leaks coming in. If you're storing it in the attic, they're not lying on the ground. Make sure they're in a dry place. My next tip for storing clothes, and this may not be accessible to everybody, but if you have the space, do try to hang clothes, especially items like dresses and coats. Anything that needs to maintain a shape, things that might have sequins on them, because you don't want them to snag on other items of clothing if you are putting them into storage boxes. Hang them up where possible if space allows for it. This is going to maintain the shape of your clothing and they will therefore last you a much longer time. If hanging up is not an option for you, then think about using separate cloth bags if you can get your hands on them. So these are easily ordered online from various places or home stores. These are really useful for the likes of things with sequins, any kind of embellishment that might damage other pieces of clothing. If you are stuck for space, vacuum bags are a really great idea. However, I would suggest only using them on a short-term basis. The reason for this is clothes get packed so tightly, which is great in terms of saving space for you. However, it can damage the clothes if they're left there for a long period of time. I would suggest only using vacuum bags for about a few weeks at a time, 3 to 4 weeks. After this time, you will find that your clothes are going to be a bit misshapen, they're going to damage the fibers within the clothes, and it is not really a long-term solution. So if you can avoid them, it's best. However, I understand that space might be an issue and it is a solution. However, it might be a good idea to take them out every so often from those bags and maybe air them out. Next of all, I would suggest separating the fabrics of your clothes into different categories. For example, natural materials such as wool, silk, suede, leather. Air should be able to circulate through these fabrics to keep them at their best. If you store these in the likes of plastic bags, it can damage leather and suede and you won't be able to wear them in the future. So store these items, the natural materials, together away from other materials and keep them in a canvas bag where air can circulate within it, and also of course keep it away from where moisture might be able to get at them. So before I said to avoid plastic bags, and with good reason. However, plastic containers can be really useful. These containers will prevent any moisture getting into where your clothes are stored. They'll protect them from dust, protect them from moths, and they will protect your clothes from getting squashed by other items that might be stored nearby. A really helpful tip that I find to store clothes and keep them safe through the season is to put a little bag of lavender in with your clothes. Moths hate lavender, unlike us humans, well, most of us anyway. The great thing about lavender is it's got two fantastic uses. It's going to keep your clothes smelling fresh and it's going to prevent moths coming in and eating up your clothes. We haven't talked about how to store shoes at all, and specifically boots. They are susceptible to getting squashed up, especially long leg boots, so the leg of them can fold over. They're going to cause creases in the legs of them, none of which we want. So how can we prevent this from happening? You've got a couple of options here. You can go out and buy boot inserts, which are going to keep the shape of the boot. There's pegs that you can get that will go down the length of the boot and clip at the top. You'll keep them together. Or indeed you could stuff them with socks if you really wanted to. So for any shoes that you think are going to get misshapen or squashed, or they need to be stored in a particular way, stuff them with stockings, with socks to maintain the shape of them, and then keep them in a plastic container throughout the season. Last but not least, and I think this is really, really important, is to check on your clothes periodically. Don't leave them for 6 months of the year and you don't see them from, I don't know, from September until March or April the following year. Who knows what might happen to them while they're being stored. So maybe once a month or every couple of months, you might just check in on your clothes that they're being stored carefully, nothing has got in and start eating away at your clothes, or there's no stains or smells brewing. It really is worth checking on them to make sure that they're still in good condition, and you might be able to save them before they deteriorate any further. That's it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, you know what to do, and thank you very much for watching as always. If you have any more tips that I haven't mentioned, I would love to hear about them. And good luck with storing away your clothes for the season. I'll see you next time. They are free from and they will obviously and buy specific store things and how